Welcome to Cafeklatsch, a podcast from the University of Florida Center for European Studies. We're brewing dialogue on modern Europe, one conversation at a time. Each episode, we sit down with scholars, speakers, and thinkers to explore the politics, history, and cultures shaping Europe today. So grab a cup, get comfortable, and join us for a thoughtful chat. Welcome to Cafeklatsch. I'm Emily with the Center for European Studies. Today, I'm joined by Selma Green of the I want to make sure I'm saying it correctly.
Tampere.
Okay, Art Museum, Tampere Art Museum, and the Moomin Museum in Finland. An experienced museum leader and art historian, Selma has worked across Finland and Sweden, guiding institutions that connect heritage, creativity, and public engagement. I'm excited to talk with her about her work and the stories behind these beloved museums. So welcome, Selma.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I just want to get a little bit of background because we've talked a lot this week while you've been here on campus just about the museums and Jansson and her work with the Moomins and just the Sami. And I mean, there's been a lot to encompass this week while you've been here. You've covered a lot of ground in the few days you've been here. One of the things that I personally missed this week was the virtual tour of the art museum. So I want to get just a little bit of insight on that. I hate that I missed that. But you oversee both the Tampere Art Museum and the Moomin Museum. So can you give me a little bit of insight of how you balance both of the unique missions and the audiences of both museums?
Well, our organization works with most of the people work with both museums. So the curators start working with one exhibition at the Moomin Museum, maybe collections or maybe a temporary exhibition. Depending on when this is aired in a week's time, we will reveal the next big temporary exhibition, which is about one of the world's most well-known contemporary collector's items, the Moomin mug. And so a curator works with the Moomin mug exhibition, and the next one might be at Tampere Art Museum. So we share our expertise and knowledge and the ideas, and I think it works well because everybody comes with a different perspective. So it makes the exhibitions, for example, very exciting and sort of they are renewed naturally. Only most of the museum guards and guides work at a specific museum, and I try to sort of divide my time in some sort of fairness. I think everybody thinks I do too much or too little of something, but I think it's also easier that we have two very different museums, but both are art museums, though. So we can sort of share. The head of exhibitions is responsible for all exhibitions. Head of collections takes care of all our collections. The Moomin Museum has about 2,000 items in the collection. Tampere Art Museum has 13,000.
Wow.
So we want to, and I think it's also sort of, it's very museal.
Yeah.
We have the same practices, we have the same policies, the same routines apply. If it's a museum, then you do certain things a certain way. So actually, it's sort of quite an effective way to work with it.
Right. They work cohesively together rather than as two separate entities then. Okay, excellent. Again, another reason that we all just need to visit the museums is to see how they all work. Now, the Tampere Art Museum is known for connecting Finnish art traditions and contemporary perspectives. How do you choose what to highlight in those exhibitions?
Well, it's a constant struggle because we have always less exhibition slots and less time and less funds to acquire in the collections than what we would wish for.
Sure.
And maybe the strength and also, the greatest challenge is that Tampere Art Museum is sort of a general art museum, expertise, everything.
Okay.
So it's harder to find a focus. We work with exhibitions so that our head of collections, head of exhibitions, and myself, we have these monthly or so meetings that are called the leading group of exhibitions.
Okay.
Everybody in the organization can come up with ideas. We also go through all the ideas and suggestions that we receive from artists. Um, and then we try to plan an exhibition year, uh, sort of that we have a little bit of everything, and we think a lot about the audiences. So sort of, I try to imagine who's coming to see this show.
Right.
Sort of, what would the typical visitor be like,
Yeah.
and what they might want.
Yeah.
And so we work with the Tampere Art Museum works with art history, modern art, contemporary art, and sometimes even a bit outside visual arts, so sort of the threshold of visual arts, and locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. So we can have everything from a local artist show to international art historical venues. So we just try to plan them so that it's a good mix.
I love that, and I love that you see it through the eyes of who's coming in because I if I were in your position, I feel like I would be a little biased in that my interests would be the forefront of what I wanted to see, so I love that you see it that way because I don't know that my mind would work that way, which is why you're great at what you do.
Thank you. Yeah, that's always a risk, and as I talked about at a class visit before, um, a typical Finnish museum visitor is female,
Okay.
plus 50, um, has a high education, economically well-to-do, not rich, definitely white slash ethnic Finn, and that's the archetype of museum visitor. But that's also me.
Right, right.
So there is an enormous risk that I make something for people like myself, and I had to sort of reach out to the public and reach out inside the organization, and people come up with ideas.
Yeah.
And when we had an exhibition opening or inauguration at the Moomin Museum, I managed to shuffle my speech to head of exhibitions. And she thanked me for the exhibition idea. And we had been working with that exhibition for 1.5 years, under which time I had forgotten
Uh-huh,
that
that
it was sort of our they are joint ideas. I forgot who got the sort of first
yeah.
idea that okay, we could do this,
Right, right.
and then it evolved
Yeah.
and included a lot of research, curatorial knowledge, and ideas, visual ideas, and so much work. So, and my role was to get the idea and then give a speech. And then the exhibition making machine that is the Tampere Art Museum works during the time.
Right, right. I'm sure there's a whole team that goes into all of that, which and the success of the museum speaks to, your team and how cohesively you work together. So you mentioned this a little bit, but I do wanna ask, how does the museum engage with emerging Finnish artists or new media?
Well, the flagship of the Tampere Art Museum is an art prize called Young Artist of the Year.
Okay.
And over 40 years, Tampere Art Museum has Delta Prize its significance also financially.
Okay.
It's one of the biggest art prizes in the Nordic countries.
Wow.
And so there's 25,000 euros, which is a big lump of money for a
Yeah,
young artist
yeah.
or anyone.
Anyone, yeah.
But there's also the possibility to have the solo exhibition at the Tampere Art
Oh,
Museum.
wow.
And we always make a catalog, which is important.
Absolutely.
So any artist who is Finnish, of course, the definition of being Finnish is sort of under revision,
Right.
and under 35 years of age.
Okay.
So that's something we do every year, and it doesn't matter. We can have a pandemic, but Young Artist of the Year is sort of something we always do.
Absolutely.
And after 40 years, we have almost every year also bought something in the collections. So now we have 40 years of history of Finnish contemporary art.
Wow, that's incredible. How many, how many competitors do you have for that award every year?
Well, we always say it's not a competition where you can sort of suggest someone
Okay.
or apply for.
Okay.
If you are a young artist in Finland, we know who you are. We have a list of young artists. We scout exhibitions all over. There's a board who makes the decision
Okay.
with museum director of the Kiasma Museum for Contemporary Art, part of the National Gallery, the dean of Arts Academy in Helsinki,
Yeah.
and so on, uh, and artists. And so we scout exhibitions. We check who has been graduated from art schools. Sometimes we share sort of I do A to C, and then someone else does from D to E, and so on.
Yeah.
But sometimes the last time we share it regionally. So we had certain art schools checked 5 years back, who's graduated, who's still working, what do they do?
Okay.
And then we have top secret meetings,
Yes, of
and
course.
we managed to keep it a secret most of these 40 years.
Wow.
And
Wow.
there's a big publishing event
Okay.
with an embargo for the media and the artist behind the curtain when we announce that. And
Wow.
in 10 minutes, it's all over the media.
Yeah, I would imagine. Wow. Wow, that is so cool. I love that. Um, One of the reasons you are here this week is to talk about Tove Jansson and her Moomins. So, for those who may be listening to the podcast or new to the Moomin world, can you give sort of an overview of who she was, what she did, who the Moomins are to her, and then I'm not going to try to ask you to encompass everything.
The question is a bit broad.
It is. It is.
Yes. Well, to make it short, I think Tove Jansson is she's a female artist from Finland, Finnish, Swedish speaking Finn, and I think she's one of the most important literary and artistic figures of the Nordic countries in the 19th century. Born in Helsinki, 1914. Uh, and to an artistic family. She is also a queer icon.
Yes.
The HBTQL communities look up to her because she lived a life very much like her.
Yes.
True to her beliefs, true to herself, and also sort of course, there was a scandal or two, but we don't have to go deeper into that. But sort of lived a life that was hers.
Yes.
And the Moomins, they emerged during something the rest of the world calls the Second World War. I will always call the Winter War. And during the war, for a cosmopolitan, artistic, sensitive soul, um, the war took a hard toll on Tove Jansson. And she started writing a story, mainly for herself, about these little trolls that live behind the stoves in houses, and then they start sort of going on adventures. And Tove Jansson stated later on that she wanted to create a world that is kinder than the one she lives in now.
Absolutely.
And the book wasn't really meant to be published, but it was published right after the war. It was very small scale. And maybe in 10 years' time, the Moomins became comics. These very sort of lovely, round, deeply philosophical, but humorous characters were all over the place. And so Tove Jansson was the creator of the Moomins, both the author and the illustrator. She was a painter, she was a writer. Um, she has done an enormous broad or uses enormous broad techniques and medias in her artistic expression. Of course, she is known for the little trolls.
Right. Right. Absolutely. We've heard a lot of people this week talk about how they grew up on the Moomins or they have known about Moomins since they were children, even, I mean, worldwide. The Moomins have they're worldwide. So one of the questions I had was how does the museum balance the nostalgia for longtime fans with introducing Moomin stories to new generations?
Well, there's something very humane and also very contemporary in the Moomin stories and the characters. So we don't actually have to make a distinction there. The moving characters Ltd that monitors the copyright of and the brand of the Moomins and Tove Jansson's artistic legacy. They of course have to work with and they work with sort of uh, getting a lot of new Moomin products, animations, TV shows,
Right.
books on the market. But I actually I think you can come to the Moomin Museum out of nostalgia or because you want to see something new you don't know from before. Maybe you have grown up not with the books but the animations
Right.
and you want to see the origins. I don't think there's nothing wrong with nostalgia really. And people can the best thing about the museum is that you can come as Tove Jansson wrote the stories, you can come as you are.
Yeah.
And so sort of you take what you want
Right.
and you give and leave something from about yourself.
Right.
So we strive after like an experience. We know that a visit at the Moomin Museum for many of our visitors, that come from abroad, is like a once in a lifetime thing.
Right.
So that's what we want to enhance.
I love that. I love that. I think everything that the Moomins encompass and what Janssen was trying to do through her work was exactly like you said, create a better world, just kindness, exuberate kindness everywhere. And I think that when we read the Moomin stories or we see the comics and we see the adventures that they go on, that is the underlying tone. And I absolutely love that. Anybody who has not read any of the Moomin books or seen the animation, I highly recommend it. Um, so, both museums attract visitors from around the world. We just talked about that. What kind of international collaborations or cultural exchanges are most exciting to you right now?
Well, there are some projects. Of course, the collection it sounds large, but when you have a museum with a permanent collection exhibition from the collections and temporary exhibitions, it's not that big anymore. And we have a lot of inquiries about loans. We do lend from the collection everything except the Moomin house
Of
itself.
course, yes.
Uh, but we have a constant demand that exceeds what we can lend. But they are always very uh, interesting and important sort of mini creating projects as well because most of the works in the collection are watercolor or gouache on paper or ink on paper. And paper doesn't really sort of like humidity or light.
Yeah.
So we need to preserve them for future generations as well. But I really love sort of this lending from the collection. And that's also something that museum professionals come together and we feel like we are in our very own secret club and
Yes.
we know what to do and everybody is at the mercy of the conservators. Uh, uh, I mean, I'm a brave woman. I'm a museum director in 17 years now, but I'm frightened for the conservators.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm dead scared for them. And if
I
they say something, I will do that.
absolutely, absolutely. So going back to the Moomins because they're very lovable, you said they're very humane.
Yeah.
I want to know, I think this was brought up in your keynote speech yesterday, but I want our podcast listeners to hear, who is the Moomin that you resonate the most with and why?
I think this moment, Papa. Yeah. I mean, he's philosophical. He's very sort of a bit like myself, sort of in his own thoughts and sort of absent-minded, uh, round in form, but very stylish in his dressing. I flatter myself for being the same.
Yeah.
Uh, he's sometimes a bit sort of outside the family. maybe not like that traditional leader of the family,
Right.
but he's a protector, a caretaker, a builder, and a sailor.
Yeah.
And I love the adventure spirit of him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that. If Tove Jansson was to come, let's say, to the museum today, what do you think would be her favorite exhibit?
It's impossible to say. Uh, Sometimes she felt that the movies with the comics that were read and the books that have been books were translated into 50 languages. The comics were published in dozens of countries. The animations have been shown in 120 countries.
Oh, wow.
And Tove Jansson could feel that the Moomin takes over. But if I had to guess, I would say it's the visitors.
Yeah.
It's not the works that we show and how we show them, or the experimental sort of cool stuff that we have.
Right.
I think it would be the visitors.
Okay. Okay. I love that. So now to ask a similar question, what's your favorite exhibition in either of the museums?
Um, well, I kind of like the one we show now, but then I usually do like our very own exhibitions. It's about the Moomin house called Welcome to the Moomin House, and of the pearl of the collection, uh, an over 8 foot tall tableau, like a diorama of the Moomin house. And I had a sort of a dream when I started working. I would like to go inside, but since it's dollhouse size, it's sort of not my dimensions.
Right.
So we have an exhibition on how they built the Moomin House, what the Moomin House has for values and meanings and symbolism, as a place where everybody's welcome as they are, as a shelter that is built by the father, found at the end of the first Moomin book.
Yeah.
Um, a place for the family to have their parties and their everyday life, even hibernate during winter, which the Moomins do.
Right.
And I think the moving house means so much, but the tableau is also very. It's so filled with detail and sort of you never get tired of looking at that.
Yeah.
So the exhibition is about the values of the Moomin House, how it was built and by whom. We have a lot of archive materials that were Tove Jansson and her spouse Tuulikki Pietilä found in flea markets in Paris and sort of these little tiny things. We even created the parlor of the Moomin House in real size.
Wow.
So now I get to sit
Yeah.
there. It's become quite popular to take your selfie there. We found sort of Tove Jansson's paint hand painted wallpapers. So we scanned them in and made them into real life.
Oh, wow.
We were sort of going to supermarkets and flea markets and online shopping to get all the objects and details as realistic as we could.
Absolutely.
So we took the turn of making the dollhouse into a real life experience as well. It's been really popular with our
Quite literally a dream come true.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine, so excellent. I think that's about all the time that we have for today. Do you have any closing thoughts or anything that you'd like to leave us with here at UF before you're off and on your way? Alright, alright. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for spending your week with us here on campus. I know it's been a whirlwind of events, but we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be here with us.
Thank you. It has been my privilege.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing this cup of conversation with us, and we will see you on the next Cafeklatsch.